Okay. So have you ever, like, gotten totally stuck on a decision? I'm talking like agonizing over the stupidest things.
Yeah.
Because I have. I once spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to pick a paint color for my living room, of all things. It was like this weird existential crisis. I was convinced the perfect shade of beige would like unlock my destiny or something. Spoiler alert, it didn't. But it did get me thinking. Like, why do we get so hung up on this feeling of needing a purpose? And for this deep dive, we're tackling that question head on. We're going straight to the source. Rick Warren's The Purpose-Driven Life.
A classic for sure.
Right. And I know, it's been, what, like almost 20 years since it came out?
Yeah, something like that.
But there's a reason it became this like mega bestseller. And we're not just going to rehash the whole thing. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're going deeper. Uncovering this stuff that still really hits home, even all these years later.
Totally. Like, one thing that makes Warren's approach so powerful is how he starts.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't jump right into, like, techniques or promises. He asks this really disarming question. If you could ask God one thing, anything at all, what would it be?
Ooh, that's good.
Right. And I think for a lot of us, whether we admit it out loud or not, that question would circle back to purpose.
Makes sense. Like, why am I even here?
Exactly. And Warren totally acknowledges that urge we have to figure it out ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Like, we read all the self-help books, we try to level up our skills, we chase after success like it's the holy grail.
Oh, my gosh. Been there.
But then he throws this curveball. Success on whose terms?
Ooh. Okay, I like where this is going.
It's like you can achieve everything you set out to do, check all the boxes, hit all the milestones, but still feel like something's missing.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like you climb the ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall.
100%. And that's where Warren draws this crucial line in the sand.
Okay, I'm listening.
He says there's a difference between what he calls worldly success and finding the purpose God actually designed for you.
So it's not that our goals are bad. It's that they might be, like, out of sync with the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we even begin to find that deeper purpose?
Well, Warren's big idea is this. We were created for 5 specific purposes.
5.
Yeah, 5.
Okay, I got to be honest. That already sounds a little overwhelming.
I hear you.
Like, am I supposed to be crushing all 5 of these, like, simultaneously?
That's a good point. It's not about multitasking or anything like that. Think of it more like you've got this treasure map, right? And each of these purposes is like a key location marked on the map.
I like that.
Each one reveals a different part of why we're here.
So let's break it down. What's the first stop on this treasure map?
All right, purpose number 1, Warren says, is this. You were planned for God's pleasure.
Pleasure. I don't know. That sounds a little, I don't want to say self-centered on God's part, but...
Oh, right. I get where you're coming from.
Like, is this about us stroking God's ego?
That's where it gets really interesting. It's not about God needing anything from us. Warren uses this really vivid image. He talks about God looking down at you when you were born, just delighted, like genuinely filled with joy just because you exist.
Okay, so it's more about a relationship, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about this connection with God that brings him joy simply because you're his creation, no strings attached.
It's kind of like when you see a little kid, like, totally stoked about something simple.
Yeah.
That pure joy, you know.
It's not about the kid doing anything to earn that reaction. It's just pure delight in who they are.
And Warren's saying that's how God feels about us.
That's the whole idea.
Wow. Okay, that kind of reframes the whole thing.
Right.
Like, it's not about earning our worth through what we do. It's realizing we already have worth. Just because.
Precisely.
So where does this treasure map lead us next? What's purpose number 2?
This one takes us all the way back to the Garden of Eden.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Remember how even in paradise, it wasn't good for man to be alone?
Right.
Warren's point is, we're hardwired for connection. It's in our DNA.
So purpose number 2 is that we were formed for God's family.
You got it. And this goes way beyond just, showing up to church every week.
I figured.
It's about this deep human need for belonging.
Yeah.
To connect with other people in a real, authentic way.
This really resonates with me, actually. I've definitely had times in my life where I felt totally lost. And it was through connecting with people, feeling truly seen, that I found my way again.
There's something so powerful about that, isn't there?
Absolutely. So what's next? What's the third purpose on our treasure map?
It really is, yeah. So purpose number 3, this one might be a bit of a tougher pill to swallow for some.
Okay, lay it on me. Warren says, you were created to become like Christ.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, just be perfect, right? That's all laughs. Yeah, easier said than done, I know. But that's where a lot of people miss the point. Warren's not saying we have to be perfect overnight. He actually emphasizes that it's a process, a lifelong journey of, like, transformation.
Oh, okay. Get behind that.
He uses this analogy of a silversmith refining silver.
Okay.
The heat's intense, right? Like, it's not exactly comfortable.
Right.
But it's in that fire that all the impurities get burned away, and you're left with something beautiful and valuable.
I see. So it's not about instant sainthood. It's about allowing God to kind of shape us into who we're meant to be.
Exactly. And that process might be tough sometimes. It might even hurt, but it ultimately leads to growth, you know?
Makes you think. Okay, so we've covered God's joy in us, our need to connect with others, and this whole journey of becoming more Christ-like. What's next on our list?
Okay, so purpose number 4 is about serving God.
See, this is where I always get kind of stuck. Because when I hear serving God, I think, like, bake sales and, like, organizing church events.
I know, right? It's
That's-
easy to get bogged down in the to-do list of it all, but Warren challenges us to see it differently.
How so?
He talks about the church, the community of believers, and he compares it to a human body.
Interesting.
Like every single part, even the ones that seem small, they all play a role in the overall health of the body.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right. It's not about status or doing the biggest, flashiest thing.
It's about finding where you fit in.
Exactly. Where your gifts and passions line up with the needs around you.
And that sense of, like, making a real contribution, that's where you find fulfillment.
100%.
Man, it's like that feeling you get when you, like, volunteer for something you care about or use your skills to help someone out.
It's the best feeling.
There's something so deeply satisfying about it. Okay, so we've got one purpose left on this treasure map of ours. What's the final destination?
This one's a biggie. Warren says you were made for a mission.
Oh boy, here we go again. So does this mean I need to, like, sell all my stuff and become a missionary?
Not necessarily, although, hey, you never know. Warren's point is we all have a mission field right where we are.
What do you mean?
Like, think about it. You have your own circle of influence, your
Yeah.
friends, your family, your coworkers, the people you interact with every day.
It's not about traveling to some far-off land. It's about being intentional with the people around us
Exactly.
and showing them what it means to live out our faith.
Precisely.
Going through these 5 purposes,
Yeah.
it's really hitting me that they're all kind of connected,
They really are, yeah.
like threads in this big tapestry of a life.
100%. And I love how Warren doesn't just leave us hanging with this list either.
What do you mean?
He knows it can feel overwhelming, Like, how do we actually live this out?
So what does he suggest?
He says start small.
Okay, I like that.
Pick one thing, one area you feel drawn to.
So, like, if someone listening resonated with that idea of God's delight,
Yeah. Maybe they could try spending a few minutes each day just being grateful.
just like appreciating the simple things,
Exactly, like that first cup of coffee in the morning or a beautiful sunset.
just noticing those little gifts and saying thank you.
Exactly.
And what about that whole connection piece? Any
Yeah.
practical steps there?
Absolutely. Maybe reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while.
Like send a text, make a call.
Yep. Even just a quick message to say you're thinking of them.
And for those who feel called to that whole becoming more like Christ thing.
Right. Remember, it's a process, not perfection.
Right.
Maybe try taking some time to reflect on your life, not just the events, but what you learned from them.
Oh, I like that. Like, how have you grown through the challenges?
Exactly.
And for those feeling drawn to service.
Look for those everyday opportunities.
So it's not about, like, grand gestures all the time. It's about those small acts of kindness.
Exactly. Smiling at a stranger, offering a helping hand.
It all adds up.
It really does.
And lastly, for those who feel called to live out their faith as a mission,
Be intentional with your words and actions.
like really thinking about how we're representing our faith to others.
Exactly.
This has been great. We covered so much ground today, but really we've just scratched the surface of what's in the purpose-driven life. Cool. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question from Rick Warren that really stuck with me. What if God isn't as concerned with your comfort as he is with your character? Think about that this week. What resonated with you most from our deep dive? What one step can you take today to live a more purpose-driven life? We'd love to hear your thoughts.